Hi, I'm Camilla.
And I'm Kane, and we are
the FI Resellers. And today we have a what sold video for you, and it is a kind of sad what sold video because we didn't have that many sales this week. We went out of town for the weekend and we shut our stores down and we didn't list that weekend, so we had just a few sales, but we are going to share all of them with you. So if you are interested in everything that sold this past week, make sure you stay tuned. You might be wondering where Kang is. So I have COVID. I caught it, I guess, while we were traveling.
I tested negative. No idea how that works, but maybe I have a stronger immunity. Who knows?
So we're going to go over the sales, just us here, and then Kang will share how our investments are doing. Okay, our first sale from the week was this Department 56 Snowman. It sold for $27.45 on eBay. This was a Snow Babies Department 56, and we picked up a whole box of them, and I listed them all separately for about $8 to $15, and this was the first one to sell. Really happy with the sale. Next was this Eddie Bauer Fair Isle sweater, and this was a really cool kind of vintage style sweater, and it was super thick. It sold for $34.75 on eBay. Next was this Susan Bristol Christmas sweater. So like we said in our last video, Christmas stuff is selling, and this was no exception. This sold for $28.60. Susan Bristol is definitely a brand in like that ugly Christmas sweater theme. This wasn't ugly, but you know what I mean, where like the super thick knit with like lots of design going on. Susan Bristol is a brand to look out for in that category. Next was this Bill Blast coat, and I have had this in my death pile for a while, and I finally listed it. It's this cute little like robin's egg blue color, and it sold for $30 on Poshmark. Really happy with that sale. That was my full asking price. I had listed it kind of low because we're running out of like hanging room, so I want to, you know, move my coats kind of quickly. And so really happy with this sale. Next was this Needleworks wool sweater. This is such a cute sweater. I just thought it was so adorable, and it sold for $22.60 on eBay. The reason I picked this sweater up was that it had, you know, good fabric content. It was made out of wool, and so that usually, you know, elevates the price of a sweater a little bit. Next was this Patagonia Better sweater, and this was another death pile item. As you know, we've been listing through our death pile, so a lot of the things that I've been selling have been in that death pile. And this was one of them because it had embroidery on it from UT Medical Center, and we had thought maybe we would get the embroidery out, but we didn't. And so I finally listed it, just like giving up on, you know, seam ripping out the embroidery, which you can do. This was the type that was really difficult to get out because it was all like patched together on the back. So it was just very, very time intensive and honestly not really worth it because it sold for $33 on Facebook Marketplace. That included the shipping on Facebook Marketplace, so it sold for $24 plus shipping. So really happy with that sale because it sold super, super fast, like within a day, which is great. Next was this Tiger Woods Nike Polo. It's like a golf polo. And if you don't know, the Tiger Woods collection of Nike items are really good pickups in terms of men's items. They sell really quickly for us, and they usually sell for like about $20. This was a little bit less because it had like a hole in it because it was perforated. It was easy to rip, and so it sold for $15.50 on eBay, so it was $10 plus shipping. The next sale was this Express Floral Button-Up. We tend to get a lot of these Express button-up shirts from ThredUp. We usually get in each, you know, 100-pound box, we usually get like 4. And so they will sell occasionally. They don't sell for a ton, but they usually do sell, and this sold for $12 on Poshmark. That's about right for how much you can get for these Express button-ups. So if you see them at the bins, you might consider picking them up if that's kind of the range that you're aiming for. Next was this Cowboys like V-neck pullover kind of warm-up jacket. It sold for just $10 on Poshmark. This was another one that came from our ThredUp men's rescue box, but it did have a stain on it, so that was why it sold for so little. I'd been getting kind of lowball offers on this on Poshmark. I think it was the same guy, but I'm not really sure. But I finally let it go for $10 because I was thinking, you know, we were getting towards the end of the week and we were having a really bad week. So I was happy to accept, you know, well, not happy, but I was accepting offers that I wouldn't usually accept because I wanted to, you know, make some more money this week. Next, we sold this Victoria's Secret Cami, and it's this like sheer cami, and it sold for $12 on Poshmark. I have really cooled down on Victoria's Secret. I used to pick it up a lot and used to sell for like $15. It seems like my Victoria's Secret stuff is sitting for longer and longer. The exception to that being like really nice bras. So like the bras with the underwire that are in really good condition, especially push-up bras in small sizes, and then just regular bras in big sizes. That's kind of what I am looking for in Victoria's Secret. I'm not necessarily going to be picking up too much of just this like lingerie in the future, with another exception being Victoria's Secret Gold label. That's the old label of Victoria's Secret, and those are really nice, and those can sell really well. Okay, next was probably one of the weirdest things we've ever gotten in a ThredUp men's rescue box, and that was this Alcatraz inmate shirt. So Alcatraz, used to be a prison, and now it's just part of, the Golden Gate National Park. This came from the gift shop, and it's basically like a replica of what a prison uniform would look like, at least just the shirt. I didn't really think it would sell, like it's a very niche item, but it makes sense that it would sell now. I put in the title costume because I figured that someone who wants to dress up as an inmate could wear this, and so it sold for $12.55, and it went international. So I don't know what that person is doing with it, because I believe that Halloween is mostly just an American holiday, like other countries don't celebrate it as much. So I'll be interested to see what that person is doing with it, although I'll probably never find out. That's one thing about reselling, is that you sell these items and you're like, oh, I wonder what that person's going to use it for, but you just never get to know. So next I sold this skirt by the brand Peter Popovich, and it's kind of this 80s 90s style skirt, like watercolor. It was super cute, and it sold for $19 on eBay. Really happy with that sale. It sold super quickly, just within the day of it being listed. I've been listing through my vintage items. I have just like a death pile of vintage items, and I'm honestly surprised at how many are selling within a day or two, because usually for me vintage tends to sit around for a while, and so I'm really happy that it's selling through quickly. And speaking of selling through quickly, this was another item by the brand Silkline, and it is definitely 80s, and it sold for $16.20 on eBay. Really happy with the sale because, again, it sold within a day, and it sold with this other dress. So the same buyer bought this 80s dress with this dress by L'Agence, I think I'm saying that correctly, that I've had for a really long time. I got this from Buffalo Exchange. It is a really nice brand, and it's new tags, and that sold for $100. So the buyer combined the shipping for all of that, and so I was able to refund her about $10 from that, which is really great. One good sale to end the week, which we definitely needed. So it was a lower offer on that dress than I had, really wanted. But one, I've had it for a really long time. I listed it in January, so I've had it for almost 10 months. And I also really wanted to, make some good money this week, which up until that point, I hadn't really made much good money. So really happy with that sale. Although the buyer paid $100, including shipping, and I paid $38 at Buffalo Exchange. So overall, not like an amazing sale, but still a good sale considering I profited $47.76, which is still pretty good. That was all of the sales from this past week. We sold a total of 14 items for a gross revenue of $373.65. Our cost of goods was $72.64, so obviously higher than what our usual average is in terms of cost of goods, and that's because that $38 on that one dress. On eBay, I sold 9 items for a net profit of $123.20. On Poshmark, I sold 4 items for $37.78. On Facebook Marketplace, I sold just 1 item, that Patagonia, for $20.76. So in total, our net profit from the week was $181.74, which is honestly pitiful. But considering it was only half the week, that's about half a week's worth of sales that our stores were actually on and that we were actually listing. It's getting really kind of tiresome to be listing through a death pile, but I think within like the next week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, we should be finished with that death pile, which will be so good, and I cannot wait to go thrifting again. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever taken a break from thrifting. How is it going back? I just can't wait. I can't wait to go back and thrift again and get good items and like have exciting sales versus just like all these kind of bummer sales. So anyway, now we're gonna throw it back over to Kang.
All right, now it's time for our segment on building wealth. And so this is where we update you on our total stock market index experiment. As always, we put a little bit from our profits into this experiment for you to see. We put $20 from Facebook Marketplace profits. This is how we're doing. Not great. It's been not great for so long that you're probably tired of me saying so. I just want to reframe something and say, while we are going to do this for many decades, probably 40 or 50 years, that needs a reframe, because when you hear decades, it might not be easy to conceptualize because, I'm 31 years old. 3 decades is kind of hard to think about investing for that long, investing for as long as I've been alive. But that's the goal of long-term investing. It's you buy it and you hold it for like a really long time. And connected to stock markets and, just investing in general, what we want to talk about in building wealth is compounding. When it comes to compounding and compound interest, if you really understand it, then it can really work well for you. So Albert Einstein said that, or allegedly said that, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Now, I want to do a short little calculation to show you what the potential of what this current amount of our investments can do compounding 40 years from now. Now, this is just a thought experiment. I just want to show you a number because this is what the reality of investing for a really long time can possibly be based on previous data. And the general consensus is that the stock market on average, the S&P 500, the total stock market index, returns about 10% each year on average over the long span of time that the stock market has been in existence. And obviously some years are up, some years are down, but overall 10%, and adjusted for inflation, it's about 7%. So those are where the numbers come from when we're talking about 7% on average, 10% on average. So overall, what I want to illustrate is the idea of investing early is really important to building wealth and really sticking to a plan if you're going for it. It doesn't make sense to pull out of the stock market if you've got this plan and try to time the market, kind of pick and choose when you want to go in, pull out. It's really important that when you put your money into the stock market, you try to leave it in there so that it can grow and then compound over time. So that's pretty much all I've got to say for now. Compound interest is a really interesting topic because if you let it work for you, then it can be powerful. But on the opposite side, if you have credit card debt and that compounds, that interest compounds for a long time, that can be really detrimental too. So those are two sides of the same coin where you use it and it could do so much good for you, but if you use it wrong, then that can be really destructive as well. And that's why banks make so much money off credit card interest. So that's just a small note there. It can work really well for you or it can work really well for someone else. As always, it's not investing advice. It's not financial advice in any way, but these are the things that help us kind of keep ourselves grounded as far as, when we spend money on our credit cards, we try to pay it in full always each month so that we don't incur that interest payment. So these are just things that in our lives has helped us kind of be financially stable. So hopefully it's helped you as well.
So thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a comment down below how your sales are going and what you would do to kind of turn around this slump in our stores. Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to chat with you down there. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing. We would love to have you as part of our YouTube community. And keep that passion burning even when you're sick and you've been beat down by bad sales. Just remember why you're reselling and why you're doing all of this. And, what is the point of it all? What is the passion that's driving all of this? Just know that we're always rooting for you. We'll see you later.